You're listening to Disturbing the Priest with Brandon Baddick.
Disturbing the Priest is back. I am so happy to be doing another episode. A lot has changed since the last one. I am now out of college. I'm recording this in a cave, but we're still making it happen. But we have a lot to talk about. If there was anything that was going to bring me back to this podcast, it was going to be the sick, the dying, and the dead. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the new Megadeth album. Finally, it is here. Long awaited. Oh my God, finally. It's felt like a lifetime since the last one. A little bit of history. Dystopia was actually the album that got me into Megadeth in high school. When I was into metal, I was more into like doom metal. I did like Metallica and Slayer. I wasn't really super into thrash. And then I learned about Megadeth. I learned about the history of it with Metallica. I'm like, all right, I'll check these guys out. The first album I listened to was Rust in Peace, and here we are. Rust in Peace is, in my opinion, the greatest thrash metal album ever made. Megadeth are legendary. One of the greatest metal bands of all time. And this is their 16th studio album. Oh my God, Dave's pushing 60. We got a totally new lineup from when Megadeth started. This band is a revolving door of musicians, but Dave is sticking in there. It's so funny because Dave actually wanted to do a solo album, but the label was literally like, Dave, dude, Megadeth is your solo career. But yeah, the sick, the dying, and the dead. 55 minutes, double LP, 6 years after Dystopia, on Universal Music Group. Here we are, Dirk and Kiko, best guitarists since Marty Friedman, in my opinion. Dirk is killing it on the drums. Oh my God, where to begin? They had a ton of fun with this one. This is less political and more just them being relaxed, having fun, playing music, which is refreshing, which, like, don't get me wrong, I love punk. I love very politically charged music. But to see Megadeth do more just fun tracks and less politically driven songs is refreshing. And the stuff that is political on this album is fantastic. But it's a great mix of everything. So, first of all, this isn't a sequel to Dystopia, but it feels more like an evolution of what it is. I definitely think this is a better album than Dystopia. I know that's kind of a hot debate right now on like the subreddit and whatnot. But I seriously think this is like a fantastic album. Like, it seriously lived up to the 6-year hype. Great production, doesn't feel overproduced, has a thick sound, not too loud, not too digitalized also. Has almost like a little old school feel. Perfect track list. How all the tracks are laid out, the flow's amazing, the order is great. Just a fantastic album, front to back. Oh my God, the sick, the dying, and the dead. Let's start with the singles, all right? So their first single was We'll Be Back, which, you know, besides Rust in Peace, potentially the greatest closer of an album in Megadeth history. And yeah, I just said that. And oh my God, the solos on this one, it just keeps hitting you in the face. Like, this song just keeps going up. It keeps, the dial keeps going, it keeps turning. And you're like, it cannot turn anymore. This song is so crazy. The energy just keeps climbing. And the payoff is fantastic. The breakdown, the galloping riff it goes into is amazing. You know, when this song dropped, like hearing it for the first time, like I couldn't really process it. All I really thought is thrash metal is alive and well. It got me so pumped for this album. I was shocked when I found out this is the closing track. Honestly, probably the best closing track in Megadeth history. It's hard to say because Rust in Peace is fantastic and a great closer. But I don't know, man. It's a great song. It's a thrash fest. All right, and then we got Night Stalkers, which we got the Ice-T cameo, which threw me off and surprised me. Great riff. Cameo's kind of weird. Felt kind of unneeded, but was cool. Like, it works. You know what I mean? It is very Megadeth to have some, like, spoken word in there. Main riff kind of reminded me of Holy Wars a little bit. Kind of like I don't want to keep saying evolved version, but just, like, definitely reminded me of Holy Wars. The chorus riff is awesome. Song has great flow. Second single is pretty tight song. Not as good as We'll Be Back, in my opinion, but just a great song. The lyrics were fantastic on this one. Something that is a pattern that I picked up with this song especially is, you know, this song kind of goes into that acoustic melody, but it picks up so well. It doesn't throw the song off. It's not like throwing a wrench in it. It sounds fantastic. If anything, it adds so much more to the song. It brings it up to such a higher elevation, which is awesome, especially with a song like Night Stalkers. And then our final single, which is the third single, which isn't Killing Time, which was supposed to be a single, but Soldier On. Oh my God. Probably one of the best songs on the album. My favorite single that came out. Every part of the song just meshes together so perfect. Best chorus in the whole album, in my opinion. Kiko and Dirk really shine on this one too. Like, their chemistry is so tight. I love how when you go into the solo, the first few notes that bring you into the solo are so cool. Like, it just all feels so original and fresh. I love how after 3:30, after the solo, the song kind of echoes out and you think the song's over, and then it like literally echoes back into the chorus, which is so powerful and so good. Like, this album does such a good job at escalating the energy. You never feel like having the song end and then begin like in the middle of the song throws it off. If anything, it adds to it. All these bridges, all these acoustic melodies in the middle of these songs add to it, which I wouldn't think would. The ending is a bit silly, I'll say, but it is very Megadeth. Megadeth does have a certain kind of humor to it, and the ending marching anthem thing is definitely Megadeth. But fantastic. These three singles were amazing. It hyped me up so much for this record. So let's get into it. All right. First of all, I just want to say that the cover art's sick. The cover art is awesome. It's really cool. It's also a sick name for an album. Such a Megadeth name for an album. The Sick, The Dying, ... and The Dead. Very cool. Very awesome. I was very excited to listen to the song because it was such a cool name. Now, when it comes to the song, I love the sample intro, which brings us into the whole album. It reminded me of the Holy Grail, Monty Python. But the intro sample is like about a minute long. Like, it really takes its time, which is fine. I don't really mind at all. I love how well the lyric, the sick, the dying, and the dead fits into this flow of the song. I actually didn't really expect to hear that in the song. I thought they were just gonna maybe just end it with the sick, the dying, and the dead, and that would be it. But no, like, it fits into the song so well. The flow is really nice. The main riff kind of reminds me of the main riff of Dystopia a little bit. But it's definitely enough to stand out on its own. That was kind of like the first thing I picked up on when I was listening to it. Which again, I know I was saying like it's hard to compare it to Dystopia, but you can't help but do it because this is Kiko and Dirk's like second album together. Also, I want to point out when Dave rolls his R's when he said rats is really funny. Reminded me of the Ghost song Rats, which never thought I'd hear Dave do it, but was an awesome touch. The thing is, Dave's vocals on this whole album too are pretty good. I like it. Dude's pushing 60. Even when he was in his prime, people would make fun of his vocals, but I think his vocals are awesome. They sound really good. I'm gonna touch more on that like later into this podcast when it comes to the police truck cover he did, because I definitely want to make a connection with Jello Biafra, who originally sang that song. But getting more into the title track, I love the story of this song. I like how the lyrics are an actual story, because Megadeth, you could have looked at this and be like, oh, it's going to be like an anti-mask thing. It's going to be some stupid. No, it was just talking about, bubonic plague, Black Death, how plagues are spread. I also love the acoustic transition with the Dave spoken word part. Doesn't slow down or throw off the song at all, like I said in the past. It's just so consistently good, this whole album. I love the yeahs also, which kind of threw some people off, but I like it. I think it's cool. It adds a lot to the song, actually. At 3:30, I love the transition into the new riff. Great solo. I love the die, die, die part at the end. It's such a good song because you get the die, die, die. And then it ends with just Dave going, the sick, the dying, and the dead. Just such an amazing way to just wrap up the title track. With such a messy name like that, it works so perfectly with the instrumentals of this song. Amazing, fantastic. So I remember listening to this song at midnight, going, okay, that blew my mind. I might have to just pause the album and just take a breath, and then boom, you're hit with Life in Hell, the next song. Oh my God. What in the Lamb of God is this? This is a fantastic song. This is so good. You don't get a break. You really don't. After the first song on the album, like it's boom, just right in your face. Just want to say that this is very Lamb of God in terms of like Dave doing the spoken word at kind of the middle of the song, I think it was. But it was definitely, must have been from just touring so much with Lamb of God, but it was perfect. It fit in with the song so well. I love the outro of this song too. Like the words life and hell getting louder and louder as the riff keeps going. Like it's just so awesome. It is such the like cherry on top of this song. Perfect track because it also mirrors the final track, We'll Be Back. I think they sound very simple. They're totally different riffs, but in terms of like speed, aggression, they're the same. They're two sides of the same coin. And how it, like I said, that Lamb of God section where it's the spoken word of Dave speaking over the main riff, and then it transitions back into the very fast pace of the main riff is so good, so good, so fresh too. Like that's the thing. I was kind of nervous that Dave was literally just going to see Dystopia and be like, "Oh, this worked. Let's just make another Poisonous Shadows. Let's make another Fatal Illusion. Let's make another this, that." No, it's so original. It's so consistently good. It's very fresh. It doesn't just feel like I'm listening to Dystopia too. It's so good. And right after that, boom, Night Stalkers. If I didn't listen to Night Stalkers before I heard the whole album, I probably would have been blown away because that's just so fast and aggressive. So good. I really can't get enough of this album, man. And brings us into the fourth song of the album, which I believe takes us out of the side B of the album. Dogs of Chernobyl, which is my favorite song on the album, probably. When I heard this for the first time, I was blown away by how good this is. The beginning actually reminded me of something off of The System Has Failed. Like with the samples, there's a lot of samples in this album. Most of them are pretty good. This is definitely lyrically my favorite song on the album, like hands down. Extremely heavy. Like, this song's a very heavy song, maybe the heaviest on the album, and the lyrics pair so nicely with the instrumentals. Probably the best pairing on the whole record. And I'll give you an example. With the main riff, there's some string bends, which kind of remind me of like a siren, like an air raid siren, which, you know, obviously fits with the subject matter. The breakdown is awesome with kind of the spoken word over it. It's just so fitting. Like, it just brings the energy up. Dave does such a good job with pairing the lyrics with the instrumentals. Like, everyone is just so in sync on this record. And potentially Dave Ellefson, I don't know how much he contributed to this. We're so in sync with the songwriting. Just so good. Just such a good album. But yeah, probably my favorite song off the album. Really good. I've listened to the song so much already. Oh my God. Another thing I want to add is, like, there's a lot of long songs. Like, they don't feel long, but there's a lot of long songs. And I've heard people say before that if they just made this a single LP, this could have been like one of the best. But like, I really can't imagine some of these songs being shorter. Because going back to the song Life in Hell, there's the second track off the album. If anything, my one problem is it's too short. I love this song so much. And like, I don't feel like even Night Stalkers, which didn't really hook me as much as the rest of the singles, doesn't feel too dragged on. Like, with the acoustic interlude and everything they've added to it, the solos, it feels fresh. You don't feel the time at all, or the length, I should say. So the next song is Sacrifice, which threw me off, because after the last song, I'm like, oh my God. And then the Dave vocals at the start threw me off, especially when he like sings the word sacrifice. Like, that really threw me off. I'm like, all right. That was the one moment where I'm like, okay, the Dave vocals were a little weird there. But that was it. Super catchy chorus on this one. Honestly, it feels like this song could have been on Dystopia because of how much the chorus blends in with the rest of the lyrics and just the structure of the song. Also the chimes, of course, very Dystopia. Again, this feels like an evolution of their last album in such a good way. Super catchy chorus on this one. The bongos, I never thought I'd say this, but the bongos on this Megadeth song are really cool and awesome and add a lot to the song, but Sacrifice is fantastic. I had to revisit it a couple times just because the first couple lyrics threw me off so much, but fantastic song, extremely catchy. And then going into Junkie, this is the one actually where people had the same problem I had with Sacrifice, because it starts with just no instrumentals, just Dave going Junkie, which is kind of weird. But it's whatever. It fits, in my opinion. It didn't throw me off too much. It was whatever. I think it was a cool intro to the song. But once the song kicks off, oh my God, is it awesome. Cool subject matter. Probably my least favorite sample, too, because you have like the kind of drunk, drugged out guy going like, have a light, man, which is kind of stupid. And I hate hearing that like on top of like a really awesome song, especially with how awesome the instrumentals were and like the riff over it. And yeah, it's definitely my least favorite sample, but it doesn't ruin the song by any means. I love the gun sample on this, where Dave goes fire and it goes into the riff. It's so good. And I know a lot of people have been saying that they don't like this song because it's Dave. He's very anti-drug now. He's kind of religious. It's like beating a dead horse, but I don't know, man. I think Dave has kind of earned, he can make as many anti-drug songs as he wants. The amount of drug abuse he's gone through, and just if you know anything about Megadeth's history, especially with Dave Mustaine and everything he's gone through, Oh my God, with the heroin, with the coke, with the alcohol. I think he has deserved to trash drugs as much as he desires. If anything, it'd be kind of weird if he made a pro like drug song. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I like it. The next song, Psychopathy, shortest song, clocking in at like a minute 20. Awesome transition into our next song. Just a cool like Kiko solo, cool acoustic section, but it really is just there to bring us into Killing Time, which, fun fact, was actually supposed to be a single. I think it was supposed to replace Soldier On. I don't have a lot to say about this song. It's good. It's catchy. Awesome chorus, very straightforward. In my first listen, this was kind of like the more forgettable ones, but it was good. Like, I'm hearing people say that like Killing Time is their favorite song off the album. And listening to now, I dig it. I love this song. Killing Time's great. Very catchy chorus. Very cool. Then we have Soldier On. I love how consistent this record is, but how each track is able to stand out on its own. It doesn't really feel like it's all meshed and blended in together. Like Soldier On and Killing Time are completely opposite songs. But we go into the next song, Celebutant. I really don't know how to pronounce that. I'm just going to say amazing solo on this one. If not the best solo on the album. Very good. Didn't really blow me away. Just a solid track. You know, it's hard because I was really looking for filler tracks in this album. Because anytime a band puts out a double LP, it's like, come on, you could have just put out a really, really solid single LP. And then I look at a song like this, I'm like, all right, this could be the filler. Nope, it's fantastic. Don't really have a lot to say about this one either, but it's just a good, catchy, classic Megadeth song. Now we go into a very, very interesting one, which, oh my God, this one I was actually very excited to listen to when I saw the name of it. Mission to Mars. This is such an interesting song. I've heard a lot of people share their opinions on this. I'm just going to say Mission to Mars is what the song Super Collider should have been. This song could have easily been kind of dialed back into a very poppy dad rock song, but no, it's awesome. It's so catchy. The lyrics are awesome. The pre-chorus is fantastic. The Dave going like, I wanna, isn't cheesy at all to me. It's really cool. It's catchy. This dude's 60. And he's singing lyrics like this, and it's so good. Not crazy about the samples on this one. What I mean by samples, I'm more talking about like some of the spoken word. There's maybe a little too much spoken word on this one. I love the idea of this song. It's very funny too. It's classic Megadeth humor in this. Great commentary too. I'm not sure if this is what the song's supposed to be, but I think it's great commentary on these like billionaires who are just obsessed with space travel and just like colonizing Mars, because it's so easy because it's like these billionaires have money and they can spend it on whatever they want. You know, all they have to do is just say the word and they have it. And Mars, living on Mars, that's the next high. That's the next thing. Let's go to Mars. Let's go to space. But it's all fun and games until it actually happens, and it can go terribly wrong. It's a very dangerous thing, and this song highlights that, how terrible and tragic it can become. I thought in the spoken word part, the rust in peace line was kind of stupid, but whatever. I know a lot of people dug it. This is such a good, and if not the best, sing-along song on the album. I also love how Dave corrects the lyrics after a line. Like the line, Mars doesn't seem far away, and then just his voice in the background. Yes, it does. Just so good. And the line where he goes, hello, ladies. And they go, hello, Moon Man, is just so funny. And I'm like, oh my God, was that a Sweating Bullets? But really cool. Just awesome song. Super catchy. I don't know, man. It's such a weird song. People are so divided on it because people are saying it's too cheesy, but it's fun. Like, it's just Megadeth having fun, and it's supposed to be a fun song. It's just about going to Mars. You know what I mean? The outro of this song is awesome, and the dialogue is cool. It reminds me of old Megadeth, and it's just such a Dave Mustaine thing to do, of just like, you know, just doing the spoken word and him doing like putting on this little act. It's really awesome. I love it. But again, maybe there were instances where there's too much of it. My least favorite part of the song is like the mission failure part, where it just ends with just a voice going mission failure, just, which is a little cheesy, kind of stupid. Like why would that be on a rocket ship or a spaceship? I should say. I'm not five. All right, then we go into We'll Be Back, which is, like I said, like the best closer. Jesus. Let's go into the singles, not singles, but the covers on this record. There's two. I was pretty shocked in two very different ways by both covers. So we got the first cover, This Planet's on Fire, and then the second cover, Police Truck, which I'm like, God damn. Two very different songs. This Planet's on Fire, it's good. Probably it's good for what it is. It's the worst song on the album, but it's hard to call this a cover when you literally have Sammy Hagar on vocals. It doesn't really add anything to the existing song. The thing is, with a cover, in my opinion, it should add something, or it should make sense. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like, what? I don't think this really should have existed. It was just kind of weird. But honestly, for the two covers, the lowest low is as good as the highest high, because Police Truck, oh my God. As I'm recording this, I'm actually wearing a Frankenchrist shirt because Dead Kennedys is one of my favorite bands of all time. So when I saw they were covering Police Truck, my jaw kind of dropped, and I'm like, I cannot wait to listen to this. And it makes sense because a lot of thrash metal comes from hardcore punk. Even Dave Ellefson had a Dead Kennedys sticker on his bass. So the Daves loved the Dead Kennedys. And I'll be honest, probably the best cover Dave has ever done. It's not Jello Biafra good, but it's Dave good. Now, what's very interesting with this cover, and I like to connect this to Jello Biafra, because I love Jello's vocals. Jello isn't a good vocalist, but I love his vocals because they're iconic. Only Jello can sound like that. That's why I love Dead Kennedys so much. And it's also the same reason why I love Dave, because Dave has such iconic vocals. And that's why I was very excited to see these two bands come together, because I'm trading out one iconic vocalist for another, and it sounds awesome. I think Police Truck translates into a thrash metal song so well. It's so funny hearing, because I've listened to Police Truck a million times by now by the Dead Kennedys, and it's so weird and kind of like trippy to hear Dave singing it now, and it fits so well. And I'm so glad a lot of these Megadeth fans are kind of discovering Dead Kennedys now with this song, and people are saying it's like one of the best songs on the album, and it's a fantastic cover. Yeah, it's probably the best cover Dave's ever done. Police Truck is just sick, and the band's so tight on it too. It just feel like I'm a broken record, but it's just such a good cover. It's such a good translation from hardcore to thrash. It sounds fantastic, and I don't think they'll ever play it live for obvious reasons, but if they did, that'd be sick. That's the thing. I look at this album now, like I've listened to it on vinyl. I got the CD. It's so good. This is such a consistently good record. That's the thing. Like, people are saying, Dystopia is kind of better. I don't know, man. Because you even look at like the cover Megadeth did, Foreign Policy, and then you look at this one, Police Truck. Are you kidding me? Like, just fantastic. And it's so good. It is so good. It's not trying to copy Dystopia, even though I did mention, yeah, there were a couple Dystopia connections with the first track, The Sick, the Dying, the Dead, and Sacrifice. I feel like lyrically is very much structured like a Dystopia song. It even honestly feels like it was ripped right out of the album, but it still stands on its own 2 feet. It still sounds like it meshes into this whole album very organically and perfectly. And I just love what this band's doing. Every song feels so unique. It doesn't feel like one 55-minute song of just super ordinary thrash riffs just Dave going, all right, fine, I'll just make, thrash metal album number 16, ship it out. Like, they're having a blast with this one. And honestly, with the tour, I just hope they just play this album in its entirety. It's so good. I'd be so happy if they just said, we're just going to go on tour and we're going to play the whole album front to back. I would be more than happy because it is that good. Now, were I to rank it in the stuff they put out in the past, I think it's better than Dystopia. I think it's better than Super Collider, obviously. I might screw up the track list here, but I like it better than Dystopia, Super Collider, 13, I like it better. Endgame, I like it better. United Abominations, I like it better. Like, it's just so good. It's so good. I don't know about The System Has Failed, though. Like, I'm going to have to really let this album sit on me because I am also comparing it to very nostalgic albums. It's good. I cannot wait to give this album some more time because it's so interesting because when an album comes out, you usually have a honeymoon phase with it. And then it's like, all right, that song, it's kind of whatever, actually. And this song is like kind of overrated. This one was a little rushed. But if anything, I listened to this album for the first time, like, oh my God, every track was a banger. Every track was awesome. And now it's only just growing on me. Like, as I'm giving it time, as I'm on like the 25th listen at this point or whatever, it still holds up and it's still awesome. It's still so good. Just a classic Megadeth album. This is everything I want in Megadeth. I am so happy that this band is still putting out great music. If I was Metallica, I would be shaking in my booties right now because this is so good. Like, oh my God. It's crazy. And I don't like to compare the two, obviously. The hatchet was buried long ago, but you can't help but do it. And wow. This band is putting out great music. I cannot wait for album 17th now. I hope it does not take 6 years like this one did, but wow. I can almost say it was worth the wait. It was so good. Because I was like, there is no way this is going to live up to expectations. But it did. Classic thrash. Classic Megadeth. I love Kiko and Dirk. I think they're adding a lot to the band. The new bassist is awesome. I can't wait to see more of him. If I was to rate this album, it'd be hard, but I'd probably give it like a solid 8.5, because I am comparing it to 10s and whatnot, as well as 1s, and I have very high standards, but oh my God, the sick, the dying, the dead, buy it now, get the CD, get the vinyl, get the cassette, get everything. Download it on Spotify. I also want to point out that the CD was awesome, sounded fantastic. I also have the vinyl here. The label is Universal Music Group, and the pressing sounds fantastic. Sounds really good. So go support the band, get the physical media. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm very excited to be putting out more episodes of Disturbing the Priest. We are on YouTube now, so give us a subscribe on YouTube. I'm going to be putting out videos that aren't really connected to the podcast as well. I actually recently just put out a tier list ranking of every single Ghost song that's ever come out, which is a very long video, but a lot of fun. So definitely give us a subscribe there. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook as well. Thanks for listening. I'm Brandon Baddock, and this has been Disturbing the Priest.